Welcome to the Senior Living 411 series. As you know, November is Fall Prevention Month, and tonight we are going to have a vision and safety huddle talk. So huddle talks are a popular way to engage others, to raise awareness and spark conversations in a very quick way. This awareness activity is designed to provide staff and/or patients and families visual awareness on the impacts that vision has on the risks of falling, and then engage in discussions on how to foster safer environments, especially as it relates to those with vision impairment. Tonight's discussion will be based on 3 posters that will be displayed to evoke thought and discussion. However, before we begin, we have a special guest with us tonight. Dr. Kelenne V. Tuitt is back. Dr. Kelenne Tuitt is a board-certified family medicine physician, published author and speaker, born in Trinidad, West Indies, and raised in Brooklyn, New York. She has a world-class education with a bachelor's degree in biological sciences from Carnegie Mellon University, a Master of Biomedical Sciences and Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine degree from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. She completed her family medicine residency from Inspira Medical Center in New Jersey. She's been in practice for over 7 years and has taught medical students throughout the years as Associate Clinical Professor at the Edward Via College of Osteopathic Medicine, America and internationally. This has led to the development of her own concierge and telemedicine company, My Caribbean Doctor, PC. Her interest is in the prevention of chronic illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, coronary artery disease, chronic kidney disease, strokes, and obesity is the epicenter of her practice. Many of these disorders can be prevented through diet and physical activity. Her philosophy is prevention is better than cure. For those of you who haven't joined the show before, my name is Desiree King, and I'm a senior home safety advisor here in Toronto. Now, I want to quickly share my story with you. I'm often asked, why do I deliver these seminars? I'm not in that age group. I look young. Why do I care? And my answer is simply because it is my passion. I'm probably going to date myself here, so I'll let you know that when I was 14, I volunteered as a candy striper in the hospital, and we actually wore those red and white outfits, and I actually worked in the geriatric floor delivering books to elderly people and having lots of wonderful conversations with them. I then went on to work as a dietary aide in the geriatric ward of a hospital throughout my high school years, and since then I've worked in or owned several senior-related businesses. Most recently, I was a realtor for the past 6 years who specialized in working with the 55 plus demographic. I've taken a lot of courses in aging in place, downsizing, retirement living options, and dementia care. I've also worked as a client care coordinator for one of the leading home healthcare companies in North America. And I must admit that during my time spent as a realtor, I've always felt a pull towards the educating and serving side of the business more so than the real estate side. So at the beginning of 2020, I knew that something in my life was going to change. I knew that my calling was greater than my career. And then Corona hit. No one knew that was going to happen, and it really threw us all for a spin, gave us a lot of time to think. So over the past 2 months, as I was at home listening to the news and watching the number of deaths occur with our seniors, I realized that to do more, I wanted to do more than I was already doing. I realized that being a realtor did not align with my desire to have a greater impact on the lives of seniors. The great Greek physician Hippocrates once said, drastic times call for drastic measures. And my drastic measure took the form of me officially resigning from real estate and turning my attention to my one thing, which is senior home safety. Now, while many seniors want to stay at home safely, their homes are not equipped to do so. And I'm going to share some stats with you in a little bit just to show you how much so. So in preparation for what I see will be a shift in the mindset of seniors, their adult children, and society on the whole, my main objective is to assist families in figuring out what is wrong in the homes of themselves or their loved ones and what needs to be addressed in order to allow our seniors to be safe in their own homes. So you may be wondering, why is fall prevention important? Well, the number one reason is falls are common. Falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries for older Canadians. 1 in 4 older adults falls each year. The second reason is falls can cause serious injuries. Falls result in injuries such as hip fractures, broken bones, and head injuries. In fact, more than 2.8 million older adults are treated in emergency departments annually because of a fall, resulting in over 800,000 hospitalizations. The third reason is falls are costly. The average hospital cost for a fall injury is over $30,000. Falls, with or without injury, carry a heavy burden on the quality of life. And after a fall, many older adults develop a fear of falling and as a result, limit their activities and social engagements. Fear of falling can result in further physical decline, depression, social isolation, and feelings of helplessness. The last reason is falls impact caregivers too. Research has shown that after a care recipient's first fall, caregivers report a significant increase in caregiver burden, fear of falling, and depression. Research has also shown that the toll on the family caregiver's health appears to increase over time. So as I said, we're doing a vision and safety huddle tonight. We're going to show you 3 pictures, have some discussions on it. And I'd like to remind you that if you have any questions for Dr. Kelenne, please enter it into the chat. For those of you who are logged in via Zoom, please use the question and answer option. So this first poster that we're sharing the first discussion we'll have will revolve around the first poster. As you can see on the left side, we can see how this room looks under a person with normal eyesight. On the right side, we see how the same room on the left side would look for someone with dense cataract impaired vision. My question to you, Dr. Kelenne, is can you just tell us a little bit of what dense cataract is?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Desiree. It's a pleasure. And this is such a very important topic for everyone, especially our older patients, probably in the middle age and as they become more mature. I don't like to call them old. So when we're talking about cataracts, cataracts are something that can impair your vision. It can start in the mid 30s and start to progress as you get older. Usually, initially, you don't really realize any symptoms. You may have some blurred vision, double vision. You may have trouble seeing, maybe see halos, which are like little glows or like little rings of light. You may have changes in your night vision, sensitivity to the sunlight, and even some difficulty distinguishing colors or reading. And so what you're seeing here in this picture on the left side is someone's normal vision. When you look in a room, you can identify colors, you can identify objects. When that light hits the back of your eye, which is called the retina, your eye is able to distinguish the different patterns, and that sends signals in your brain so that you can identify what that object is. But on the right side, what you're seeing is it looks cloudy, it looks distorted, and it's kind of like a film that goes over your eye and causes you not to be able to see things clearly. And so it's actually a clouding of the lens of the eye, which is like the front part of your eye. And so there are different types of cataracts. There are nuclear sclerotic cataracts and cortical cataracts and posterior subcapsular cataracts. And that's not really important for you to know specifically, but it is important in terms of the different types of treatment for that.
Okay, thank you very much. That definitely clarified a lot of what that means. Is it known what is the cause of a cataract, or is that still something that is still under research?
There's still a lot of research undergoing regarding that, but a lot of times it could be related to genetics. Sometimes the family history, if your mom had it, grandparents had it, you're more likely to develop it. It could come from injury or inflammation. So if you ever had an eye infection that wasn't treated early enough, or if you had some kind of trauma to your eye, you can potentially develop cataracts. If you've had eye surgery in the past, you have a higher risk for getting cataracts. And patients that are actually nearsighted have a increased risk of developing cataracts. There are some medications that can cause it, like prolonged use of corticosteroids, cholesterol medications called statins. Even though it protects your heart from heart attacks and strokes, you may have an increased risk of having a cataract. So sometimes you have to weigh the risk versus the benefit. And then also if you're on any type of hormone replacement therapy, say you have low testosterone levels and you're taking testosterone, or if you are, say you're on estrogen for females with hot flashes, those things may potentially increase your risk for cataracts. Also diabetics, hypertensives, obese patients, patients that smoke, and those that drink a lot of alcohol, they
Mhm.
have a higher risk for cataracts.
Wow. Wow. You hear that, people? Alcohol, smoking. Is there anything diet related to it at all?
So if you eat a diet that's high in antioxidants or anti-inflammatory foods, so pretty much a plant-based diet, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, eating things that have a lot of vitamin A in it, like carrots, all your orange fruits and vegetables, things that have high vitamin C, those are things that you can do to prevent cataracts. And the most important thing is protecting your eyes and wearing sunglasses.
Right, right, right. I actually did a show, I think it was yesterday on winter, no, the day before yesterday on winter walking. And we spoke about the importance from the glare in the snow of wearing proper glasses to protect that glare. So that would be another situation where the lighting could affect your eyes. Can it be fixed with glasses? Just a pair of glasses that will clear this up, or?
Well, actually, yeah. So in the beginning, in the early stages of cataracts, when you notice your vision's changing, they may have to increase the strength of your glasses. However, as it progresses, eventually it can distort your vision, as you see on the right-hand side in that picture, and they'll have to remove the cataract. And a lot of patients feel like they've had their vision restored back to where it used to be, and they may just have to wear some readers or maybe a lower prescription in glasses compared to what they were on before they had the surgery.
Right. Now, we live in a time with, I mean, there's always stress around, but now more so with all of the lockdowns and COVID and people aren't sure what's happening. Can stress also be something that triggers cataracts or no?
Stress causes so many different things in our body, and it's so hard to pinpoint exactly how. But yes, there was a study that showed stress can potentially increase your risk for cataracts. What happens is when you're under stress, you release a lot of the stress hormone called cortisol. And like I said earlier, if you're on oral steroids, you will have an increased risk of cataracts. And therefore, if your body's producing the natural steroid called cortisol, you could potentially have an increased risk of cataracts. And so that's why it's very important that you reduce your stress levels through meditation, talking with friends and family, having these Zoom conferences, anything that can distract you from what's going on with this pandemic.
Right, right, right. So, Kalani, in a room like this, I mean, this is a office, obviously an office environment, but what can we, is there anything we can do differently to prevent a fall, like say in our homes, if someone has cataracts and this is how they're seeing? Is there anything that we can do to help them if their vision is impaired from cataracts?
Definitely. So number one thing is to pick up any rugs or any throw rugs. So anything that you could potentially trip over. The other thing I always tell my patients to do is arrange your furniture in a way that you can always grab onto something in case you feel like you're losing your balance and you're going to fall. And make sure you map out your house. You don't want to put bags down in random places where someone who has a vision impairment doesn't know it's going to be there. So you want to keep your open hallways clear, and always make sure that there is something close by that they can grab onto. And especially if you have any vision issues, it's important that you have some form of an alert button, especially in our older patients. If they have trouble with arthritis and getting up, you don't want them on the floor for several hours because that can be another situation where they'll end up in the hospital.
Exactly, exactly. And also, as you mentioned, furniture rearranging, avoid furniture, I know, with sharp edges. So
Yes.
put the bumper covers over that because they can bang into that. And I would say also, if you have like, you know, the back door of your house going to the backyard, it's a glass door, probably put a level indicator so they can see that it's glass. Otherwise, they could potentially walk through it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Those are
okay,
great points you mentioned.
great. Okay, so let's move on to the second one. And the second slide that we have, it revolves around, on the left side again, it compares, it's the same room, obviously. And on the left side, we have the same room seen in the first poster. However, this is through the eyes of someone with diabetic retinopathy. I can't even say the word.
Retinopathy.
Oh, say that, please.
Diabetic retinopathy.
Diabetic retinopathy. People, let's all say that together. That's a mouthful. All right. Dr. Kelenne, what exactly is this and how is it caused?
I like the way you frame that question.
Yes, I had to.
So, diabetic retinopathy is something related to diabetic patients, especially in those that have an increased blood sugar level in their bodies. So, the ideal range in America, we look at something called the hemoglobin A1C, which measures how much sugar is circulating in your body. We like to have that number less than 7 in a patient who is diabetic. We consider that to be a controlled diabetic. But when your sugar starts to go up and you start to have random sugars, when you stick your finger, those numbers go up to 200, 300, 400. Now you have an increased risk of having a higher hemoglobin A1C. In the 10s, the 13s, the 15s, those numbers are dangerously high because now that sugar is actually coating the nerves and the blood vessels in your body. And so what diabetic retinopathy is when there's a change in the blood vessels that feed the back of the eye, which is called the retina. And so the retina is like a thin layer of the back of the eye that is sensitive to light so that you can see different images. And when there's damage back there due to increased sugar levels that's harming the blood vessels actually thicken and they start to leak. And then that's what leads to vision loss.
Wow. And the test that you're doing, you're saying to detect this, is this something they can tell from at home or they have to come into the office?
So the underlying cause of diabetic retinopathy is not keeping your sugar under control. So patients who are diabetic should have a glucometer, which is a machine that is used to prick your finger and you put a drop of blood and that tells you what your sugar levels are. And so if you're home, your ideal range for your sugar level should be between 80 to 130 in the mornings. That's your fasting blood sugar. And in the evenings or 2 hours after eating, it should be less than 180. So if your numbers are uncontrolled and above that range, you want to get that under control so that you could prevent yourself from getting one of the complications of diabetes, which is diabetic retinopathy. But usually patients with with diabetic retinopathy, what they'll notice is that they have vision changes. So blurry vision, double vision, halos. They may have other issues in terms of seeing the blurriness that you're seeing in this image that here. So you can't really recognize faces, you can't really recognize objects. And so if you're experiencing any of that, in order to determine is this diabetic retinopathy or something else, because there are many conditions that present similar to this, you would have to see an eye specialist, which can be an optometrist, an ophthalmologist, and they can do a dilated eye exam where they put drops in your eyes and they make your pupils really big and they look at the back of the eye, and that's how they determine if it's diabetic retinopathy or something else.
Mm-hmm. And just a quick question, because I've been curious about this. What's the difference between an optometrist and an ophthalmologist? Is one like you go to one first and they refer you to the other, or are they the same?
So an optometrist just helps you with your glasses, and they can do a basic exam in the office. And if they see there are complications like diabetic retinopathy, they will refer you to an ophthalmologist, which is a physician that went to medical school for 4 years, and then they went on to further training to become an ophthalmologist for an additional 3 to 4 years. And then sometimes you may have to see another specialist in diabetic retinopathy or in a retina specialist, or they're the ones that do the actual surgery on some of these patients' eyes. Mm-hmm. So one is a doctor and one is not.
Is not, okay. So the first step then is to see your family physician.
Yes, if you have symptoms, first thing they're going to tell you is you got to treat the underlying cause, which is your diabetes.
Right, right. And is this permanent?
So if you keep your sugar under control, you can get this under control. But once it passes a certain point, yes, it can become a permanent thing in diabetics. This is the leading cause of blindness in diabetic patients.
Okay. Just really, it's just keeping your sugar under control.
Yeah.
Diabetics. Okay.
Yeah, so there are some treatments that can stop it and slow down the progression if you catch it early enough. So that's why it's important for diabetics. It is one of the requirements that you see the eye doctor yearly.
All right, let's move on to the image on the right side. And we have the same room, again, as in the first poster in the left on the first poster. However, this is through the eyes of someone with macular degeneration. Connie, what is macular degeneration and how is it caused?
So macular degeneration is one of the leading causes of vision loss, affecting tens of millions of people in America and I'm sure in Canada as well. And it's even more common than cataracts and glaucoma. And it's actually considered to be incurable. It's something that is progressive. And so it's caused by the deterioration of the central part of the retina, which is in the back of the eye. And remember, I told you the retina is where you see where light is transmitted so that you can see images, but it starts to degrade and eventually it breaks down. And so that's why you're not able to see images and it progresses with time and it gets, so what you'll see is if say you're looking at a picture, you'll see everything on the outside, but in the middle, you won't be able to see anything. And so it's very, and they really haven't had any breakthroughs and treatments for this. And there's different types, there's dry and wet, but most people have the dry type and actually this affects mostly Caucasian patients. And it also can affect some Hispanic patients and African Americans, but it's mostly related to Caucasians. And then it's also genetic as well. People with a family history of age-related macular degeneration are at higher risk. And if you're a smoker, that doubles your risk for developing this.
So here we have another reason to quit smoking if you're a smoker.
Yeah.
Would you say, because I guess this is just throwing it out here, no scientific evidence, I'm just asking a question. Would you say that it's more prevalent in Caucasians due to the lighter eyes, the lightness of the eyes, or that's just a question?
You know, I'm not 100% sure and I don't want to say yes. Yeah. But probably we have more pigmentation, which actually melanin kind of is protective for African Americans. So that might be related to it.
Yeah. And how long does it take to lose your vision with it? Is there like a, once you're diagnosed, is it say like a 3-month span, a 6-month span, or is it something that's different based on the person?
Well, it depends on which type you have. So one is a little more slower than the other. So sometimes it can happen over years, but in some of them, it can happen a little more rapidly.
Mm-hmm. And are there any foods that contribute to this?
So anything that is processed can potentially increase your risk. So anything that increases oxidative stress, which is where you have a breakdown in your body's ability to heal itself, it can progress this disorder. So again, you want to eat more of a plant-based diet. I think so anything like avocados, tomatoes, peanut butter, those things can help to improve the body's ability to heal itself.
Okay. What about sugar? Is it bad for it?
So sugar is inflammatory. So that's why we always try to reduce the amount of sugar in our diets.
Mm-hmm. And in both of these cases, again, to make the home safer and create a safer environment, I'm guessing just because it's a vision blur, we're looking at the same types of remedies we discussed in the previous slide, which would be, like you said, rugs, rearranging furniture, mm-hmm. Something for them to grab onto. I know these days as well, they have the railings for them to hold on to. They're pretty aesthetically pleasing. They don't really make the home look like a hospital. So different things like that can be used as well. Okay, so let's move on to the third and final slide. And basically this focuses on what we can do to promote safety for someone with any of these vision impairments that we've discussed. Now, they mentioned marking beds, toilets, doorways, and stairs as some suggestions. I know looking at the stairs is because if you have stairs that are carpet or hardwood flooring, you may not see when one step ends and the other one begins and ends again. So something like the yellow outside, the yellow paint, the reflective paint, or something to mark the threads on the stairs would be helpful. The toilet, what are your takes on that one? I guess it's just so they know where they're sitting.
Yeah, so I think it's happened to everyone. Maybe you woke up in the middle of the night, you had to rush to the bathroom and you kind of lean to the side and you almost fall. I know it's happened to me, so
Yes.
I'm not ashamed to, to mention.
Or you living with men in the house and they leave it up and he's actually almost
That's
dropping.
the other thing. Yes. So if you don't see those bright colors, then you know, okay, I got to put the seat down before I sit down. Otherwise, you'll end up in the toilet. So that's one of the biggest things. And sometimes people like to feel things. So if they feel the rough texture of the tape, then they know, okay, I'm in the right place.
Another good indicator as well for that then would be if at night, because I know as you get older, your bladder is weaker.
Your sound is a little distant.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that as you get older, your bladder gets weaker. So if the person is rushing to the washroom, there should be some sensor lights that go on so they can even begin to see instead of having, like you said, to feel for the light switch and whatnot as well.
So having night lights are a good thing, or sensor lights, so that whenever, or motion sensor lights, so whenever they move, the lights automatically come on. Do you remember the commercial clap on, clap off? That's a thing you can use.
Do they still have that? I haven't seen that in so long.
Sure, they probably do.
Well, it was kind of comedic watching the commercial, but in reality, it really did help people who couldn't reach a light switch. And a lot of homes nowadays, when they're built, they don't put the ceiling light anymore. It's attached to a switch. So that definitely would be an asset. Another possibility I was thinking too is if the person lives in a 2-story home and you're able to get them to agree, is to downsize into a bungalow or a condo. That way we're completely eliminating the stairs.
Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned already, you touched on medical alert pendants or bracelets. Can you speak a little bit more on that? Because that definitely is a lifesaver.
Yeah, so I always tell my older patients, I don't know how the insurance system is in Canada, but sometimes the insurance companies will pay for your medical alert button, especially if you have a documented ailment or arthritis or some kind of visual impairment. And so these alert buttons are something that you can have around your neck. And so if you fall, all you have to do is press a button that notifies the authorities, or it notifies a central hub that can contact a family member so they could come and check on you to see what the problem is. Some patients have, now the other cool thing is we have Alexa now. So if you have Alexa in the home, the patient can say, hey, Alexa, call 911 or call my daughter, so that the patient can notify somebody to come to their house. So that's another way that I've heard some of my patients have used modern technology to kind of help them with their falls, or to protect them in any case of emergency. Yeah.
That is definitely a gem. I've never thought about that. I had a person the other day, I did a seminar, and she was asking me, well, I think she has an allergy to having batteries, and these things are all battery operated around her neck. And she was saying, what are some alternatives? I suggested a whistle, but this is a good alternative. You have Alexa or even Google Home or whatever.
Hey Siri, call 911.
Wow.
Oh, look, my Siri.
Sorry, I can't call emergency services here.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, what was that? That was you.
So whenever you say SIRI, she comes on. So she's on my computer. So usually every time I say her name, it comes on my phone and my computer, which I didn't even think about.
Right.
But that's another, that's an iPhone.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so there you go, people. That was like a wonderful tip. And there isn't no extra cost for that, because dependents and stuff, you do have to, like, if it's not covered by your medical plan, you've got to pay a fee. So there's a workaround for that. So that's a big takeaway from you. I'm glad you mentioned that. At this point, I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a moment to see if we have any questions from our viewers or listeners that are here on the show. And I'm here trying to operate multiple sources of technology. So just bear with me.
John wants to know, have the writing on pill bottles gotten smaller? It depends on how much information the doctor's trying to put on there. But actually, some places, depending on where you're getting your medicine from, your pharmacy may label your bottles for you for hypertension, diabetes, so you know which pill is for what. And I always encourage my patients to ask their doctor to put on there, is this for the morning or night? Because what happens is a lot of patients just want to take everything and get it out of the way, but sometimes you're over medicating yourself, which can make you drowsy and sleepy and put you at a higher risk for falls. So try to have your doctor separate like your blood pressure pills. If you're on 2 or 3, maybe take 2 in the morning, especially the one with the fluid pill in it, because you don't want to be up all night in the bathroom. Take that one during the day in the morning, or in the morning, so you go to the bathroom during the day, and then take the other blood pressure pill at night that doesn't cause you to go to the bathroom.
Right. No, that definitely makes sense. Do we have any other questions?
I think Maxine wants to know if there are specific exercises to improve eyesight. So any form of exercise actually improves your eyesight because you're increasing blood flow to your brain, and that's where your eyes are. And so it doesn't matter if you're just walking for 15 minutes or you're doing a Zumba class, any form of exercise. It could be even yoga, even though it's slower movements, you're still pumping blood throughout your body, which can bring all the good nutrients to your eyes to help improve your vision.
That's a very good question and very good advice as well. I never even thought of relating. I always think of, I think most people think of diet relating to, your heart, your cardio, your weight, but your eyesight, everything, it benefits everything.
Yeah, anything that increases blood flow will help. And then there's one more question. Can your diet contribute to macular degeneration? That's from Mary. And yes, so anything that is processed, so eating out McDonald's, fast foods, fried chicken, the further it is from the earth, the less beneficial it is. It has less nutrients for you in it for you. So if you can get fresh fruits and vegetables, that would be best for you, and eat more fish, salmon, avocados, bananas. Those kinds of things are better than red meats, which have a lot of antioxidants and can be potential carcinogens, and anything fried, greasy. You want to kind of stay away from that as well.
And a good example of that is that movie Super Size Me, where that guy went on the 30-day binge of eating only McDonald's, and you could see the health effects it was having on him overall. So definitely, we encourage you to cook more at home or eat healthier foods as opposed to eating out fast food. Sorry, McDonald's, but had to mention the movie. Disclaimer on that one. Are there any other questions coming in? I don't see any other questions. Gonna pop back over here to my shared screen. Dr. Kelenne, I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight for the show. You clearly possess a wealth of knowledge, and I really want to thank you for jumping in last minute. My other person I'd originally scheduled was not able to make it. Do you have any closing words for us or advice for us?
So all it takes are small steps to make exponential changes in your health. And it doesn't matter how old you are, what age you are, where you're located, even if you're physically differently abled. I don't like to use the word disabled. So even if you're wheelchair bound, if you have vision impairments, if you have a cardiac disease and or shortness of breath because of COPD, there are things you can do to modify your lifestyle that will help you in the long run. So even if you have to sit down and just move your arms up and down around in circles, that is a way to increase blood flow in your body. That's actually what it does, is actually increases nitric oxide, which vasodilates or opens up your blood vessels and helps to allow more blood to circulate in your body, which is going to be tremendous for all aspects of your body. A lot of us just think about cardio health, the big organs, the brain, the heart, and the kidneys, but we don't think about the smaller blood vessels that feed our eyes, our skin, our toes, our private areas. That's why we have erectile dysfunction. And so it's very important that we stay active and we eat healthy. We are what we eat, and we have to nourish our bodies appropriately especially at a young age, so that when we get older, we don't have all these ailments. So make sure you teach your children that it's very important to eat their veggies and their fruits more so than the sweets, the candies, and the fried foods.
Just be like me and just don't buy them. They're not in the house. You can't eat it.
Can't eat it, exactly.
It even works for us. If we have it in the house, we're gonna eat it. Just don't buy it as much, or have, once a month or whatever, but just don't buy it. Kelenne, again, thank you. If any of our guests would like to contact you for more information or advice, I know you have your concierge medicine service. How can they contact you?
Yes, so you guys can follow me on all social media. So that includes Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn at Dr. Kelenne. That's DrKelenne. And then also, if you would like to get on my email list, you can go to BeIrieBook.com. I have written a book called Be Irie, Caribbean Handbook to Develop Healthy Habits, where we talk about different ways you can incorporate simple changes in your life that impact you for a lifetime. So you could go to BeIrieBook.com and join my email list. And if you're interested, I'll mail you a autographed copy of my book.
Oh, awesome. And I'm guessing this book as well, you could relate this book to a lot of this conversation we're having.
Yes, we talk about all of it. We talk about diabetes, hypertension. Now, even though the book is directed specifically to the Caribbean population, it talks about a lot of the issues that affect everybody globally. Diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, high cholesterol, it affects us all. And so I talk about different ways you can change your diet, exercise. We talk about even just visualization in terms of meditation, having the right mindset around your food and your diet, and how that can help you make long lifetime and long-term changes in your life. And it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to create time, because a lot of us say, we use the excuse, we don't have enough time to cook healthy. Well, if you just buy some fruits, take it with you. You don't have to cook the fruit. You just have to bring the apple and bite into it. That makes your life so much simpler. So it's simple things that we don't think about or that we take for granted. And I kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to incorporate healthier lifestyle changes in that book. And it's really a handbook. It's more of a guide so that you can incorporate it into your own lifestyle, because not everything applies to everyone.
Exactly. I've actually, so I like apples. Biting in works, but there's also this cool thing you get in the store that you just push down and it puts it into the nice little slices. It's way more fancy, and it just makes you want to eat it more than biting into the apple.
Yes.
That's what I use.
It's the way it's presented that makes a difference in terms of encouraging you to eat it. So even if you prepare that the night before, you might be more encouraged to eat it than just picking it up and carrying it with you.
Exactly. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Kelenne. So I cannot begin to stress how much helping yourself, a spouse, or an aging parent to avoid falls goes a long way towards preserving your health and independence. And everything you've heard Kelenne really say, it comes down to really, I think she would agree, is that your health is your wealth. So definitely, we always look at our wealth as being our assets, our legacy. Your health is your wealth, because if you don't have that, you don't have anything, and you can't be good for anybody else if you don't have you. So definitely, we cannot stress the importance of having your health. And that's just not for people who are older, it's for everybody. Now, making even small home safety improvements can make a big difference in the quality of life for our seniors. With a safer home, falls can be prevented and seniors can enjoy greater mobility and health well into their retirement years. In addition, a safer home makes it easier for senior friends to visit for improved social and emotional well-being. I'm going to give you some ideas, some costs, and I'm kind of following the pattern that I think American Express used to use. So medical treatment for a fractured or broken hip, that's about $39,000 or more. Installing grab bars in your washroom, $350 roughly. Non-skid pads for area rugs, roughly about $300. Non-slip surface treatments for your outside porch and your steps, roughly about $500. However, knowing that your home or the home of your loved one is as safe as it can be, priceless. So just to give you an idea of where that is. So join me tomorrow, Saturday, November 14th, as I conduct a demonstration on how to conduct a home safety assessment. I'm going to go through the most common things of someone's home, outside in, and show you things that you can do for yourself. And if you're not able to do it for yourself, then seek the assistance of a professional, of a senior home safety advisor. But I cannot begin to stress, you see the stats in the beginning. Every 11 seconds, someone's walking into a hospital emergency room. That speaks for itself. So definitely join us tomorrow for that show. And also remember that, thank you for joining us. And remember that all discussions can also be found on YouTube, on the Senior Living 411 Incorporated channel, or on the Senior Living 411 podcast. I know Kelenne also has a podcast. It's Dr. What is the name of your podcast again, Kelenne?
It's called Your Caribbean Doctor.
Your Caribbean Doctor. So there we go. Check it out, everyone. And thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.